Today on the Priority Podcast.
Mm-hmm. And God never does or lets anything into our life to intentionally hurt us. There's always a plan. And so it's coming back to that thought process when you're going through. And so there is a reality of trials. Yeah. And John 16:33 says, I have said these things to you that in me you may have peace. In the world you will have, not might have, will have tribulation. But take heart, I have overcome the world.
And these are red letters. Yes. This is Jesus himself.
Jesus himself talking, right?
Yep.
And so it's knowing that, I think if you can go into things expecting tribulation instead of having that subconscious expectation that at one point you're not going to have them anymore, that you're better set up to handle
There
them.
will be trials, and I will have what I need to get through.
Yeah, because in Romans 8:28 it says, and we know that for those who love God, all things work together for good for those who are called according to his purpose. So to know that they're not wasted, and they're not
an interruption.
Right. And God isn't looking at you saying, I'm so disappointed in you, here's what I'm giving you.
Right.
Like he's not that kind of father.
Right.
Ever. Ever.
Welcome to Priority Podcast, leveraging life experiences for the sake of the kingdom. We help you rise as a resilient, Christ-centered woman, rooted in truth, steady in the struggle, and confident in your calling. Here's our host, Carmen.
Hi, friends, and welcome to this month's Priority Podcast. We're glad you're with us. We're back with the team and have another fun topic. Leslie kind of gave us a teaser last month that this one was coming. Today we're talking about when I got to get the title right. It's when the next hard thing comes. Get that word "when" because it's going to come. It's coming, right? And then Amy is going to take the lead on this. So of course, you guys now Leslie and Amy and Carla that's with us, and everybody gives input. They're all the counselors. They bring the hard stuff. I'm us, right? I'm us. I just sit here and listen and then ask a few questions because I just want to know how I can take the content and apply it back to my life. But so what Amy has said on this is when the next hard thing comes, but also what does it mean for us to trust God and hold on to his character in those trials. So that's going to be the content that we're talking about. So your mind's already probably formulating some thoughts, right? But I want to turn it over quickly, to Amy. But it's always fun to hear updates again, like what's happening in lives. But I got to tell you, this topic, I never know who to give credit to, but it's Craig Groeschel, his newest book out, and his counselor. And like I said, I'm getting a new appreciation for counselors because you guys are bringing the content for us to use proactively. Does that make sense? It's not all of us are going to be able to go sit on the chair or to, as I'm realizing, a lot of high-level leaders have a counselor as a constant part of their rhythm, and I'm seeing the value of that. And I think that's why I'm appreciating this podcast even more because you guys are giving some of that content at that quality level for all of us to be able to use even if counseling's not a part of our rhythm. But Craig Groeschel references his counselor like that. And one of the things I appreciate about the counselor, and I wish I could remember the guy's name, maybe we could put that in the show notes, is he didn't diagnose Craig so quick. He basically just said, that's life. And there's times we need to understand that's life. Quit trying to find a pill or a prescription to take. Quit trying to find a class or think something's wrong with you. It's life. And there's sometimes we just need to buckle up and realize this is life. It's a season. I got to get through it. You will get through it. But it doesn't mean there's something chronically wrong with you. Does that make sense? Absolutely. So that's kind of what's framed up in my mind as we go. So I'm just gonna hand that over to you and say run with it because there's some really good content in here.
Yeah, and one thing that I've talked to my younger clients, like early 20s, I think, and I reference this later, I think that there's a mindset that when you're in your early 20s, that's the hardest life is going to be. And then as you get older, it just, you get to a point where like you have arrived. And
wouldn't that be nice?
It would. And I'm like, well, I'm 53 and I have not arrived yet. And life has not, it has gotten great, things have gotten better, but trials always come, and I think there's maybe a subconscious expectation that you're going to get to a point where they don't, or you can handle them better, and that's not
It's
true.
not the case.
Yeah.
And if my life were, I hope the hardest times was in my 20s, because I lost my mom at 19 and I lost my dad at 26.
Yeah.
And so my 20s were, it's like there was some hard stuff that happened in my 20s,
Yeah.
And so and I haven't arrived yet either.
Yeah.
It's like there's no point.
Yeah.
And when I work with married couples, they think that you're going to get to a marriage where you don't ever fight anymore. And it's like, that's not good either.
Yeah.
It's like, it's always there.
You might call them healthy discussions later.
Right.
But, that's
Well,
probably
you
the
might call them
progress.
We got other words for them in my house, but not podcast appropriate.
But I think it's coming back to like the reality check that trials are going to happen.
Yeah.
And they're not random and wasted.
And
And
nothing is wasted.
And I think,
Yeah.
Praise God, because if we had to go through it and he wasn't going to use it.
Oh, I know, right?
Right. But we think, why me, why this, and it's, sometimes it's living and you're like, okay, well, I got through that one, and then another one hits. It's like when you're trying to get out of the ocean and like the waves hit you and you get up and you're like, okay, phew,
Yeah.
you get hit again.
Yeah.
And so, and sometimes we get not bad information, but you get people that tell you, just trust God more. Just trust God more. And I can tell you, being in the middle
platitude.
of, being in the middle of a trial, that's not helpful.
Yeah.
Right.
That wasn't helpful to me.
Yeah.
And so it's going back to, and we talked about this on the last podcast, about trusting God's plan. And for me, when I talk to my clients, and even when I talk to myself, it's seeing God as a father. And I understand him more becoming a mom than I ever did before I was a mom, because how I love my kids, like I never intentionally did anything to hurt them. And God never does or lets anything into our life to intentionally hurt us. There's always a plan. And so it's coming back to that thought process when you're going through. And so there is a reality of trials.
Yeah.
And John 16:33 says, I have said these things to you, that in me you may have peace. In the world you will have, not might have,
Yeah.
Right.
will
You
have
will
tribulation. But take heart, I have overcome the world.
And these are red letters.
Yes.
This is
Yes,
Jesus
yes,
himself.
Jesus
Yes.
himself talking, right?
Yep.
And so it's knowing that, like, I think if you can go into things expecting tribulation
Yeah.
instead of having that subconscious expectation that at one point you're not going to have them anymore,
Right.
that you're better set up to
Yeah.
to handle
There
them.
will be trials, and I will have what I need to get
Yes.
through.
Yeah, because in Romans 8:28 it says, and we know that for those who love God, all things work together for good for those who are called according to his purpose. So to know that they're not wasted,
Yeah.
and they're
Not
not
an
in
interruption.
vain.
Yep.
Right.
And God isn't
Wow.
looking at you saying, I'm so disappointed in you, here's what I'm giving you.
Right.
Like he's not that kind of
Yeah.
father.
Right.
Yeah.
Ever.
Yeah.
Ever.
I know a lot of times I've seen the people who struggle with something like this the hardest are the people that have a disillusioned view of their own earthly father.
Yes.
Because then they have
And that makes so much sense, doesn't it? It
Because
makes
then
so
they
much
have
sense.
a disillusioned
Yes.
view of their heavenly father. And that just makes me sad. It just makes me so sad.
Yes, and I think it's so hard when you do have like that maybe bad or relationship with your earthly father, or even your parents in general, that it was, I'm disappointed in you, you didn't do enough, here's your punishment. Like I think that's an expectation of a lot of people, is that anything bad that comes is a punishment. And so it's learning that God is not that way at all. And so, to slow this down, it doesn't mean that everything that comes in your life is going to be good.
Right.
So it just means that God is doing something. He's trying to grow you, to teach you, maybe to move you from a place that you shouldn't be. And this was the only way that he could. I mean, I know, like, in some of my trials,
Yes.
I have 5 or 10 different ways that I could have learned that lesson.
Yes.
Like,
Yes.
this,
And Lord, you
and
picked this way.
Yes.
And God really, in my mind has said, if you would have learned a different way,
You would've-
that's how I would have done it.
Seriously,
Amy.
I bet we could go around this table and each of us could have 3 or 4 stories right up the top of our heads of things that we've endured that at the time you're like, what? But then you look back, maybe, at least sometimes, and go, actually, I think I prayed for a way out, or I prayed for relief in this, or I prayed. And I love the idea of severe mercy, because it's like sometimes it feels like severe mercy, but it's mercy nonetheless.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah. And it will be exactly what you need to get to where he needs you to be. And it's trusting in that. I feel like, with last month's episode and this, it keeps going back to trusting his plan.
Yeah.
Trusting that he is a good father, trusting what the word says about
Yeah.
him. And so it does mean that nothing that he allows in your life is ever wasted. Ever wasted. There's always a purpose, and you may not know what that purpose is until later.
But the neat thing about it is that when you ask to know that purpose, he'll show you.
Oh, absolutely.
He'll show you what that purpose is, because that deepens the relationship. And that's what he wants. He wants a deeper relationship with us.
Yeah, and I think on a previous episode I talked about losing my son, having a stillbirth at 38 weeks, and being angry at God, and being on the base. I remember somehow I remember like where I'm at when I have these thoughts. I remember where I was on Scott Air Force Base, and I told God, I said, I am so tired of being angry with you over this.
Yeah.
Show me how to use this.
Yeah.
And then exactly a year after we not lost Mark went to be with Jesus, one of my best friends had a stillbirth. She had been with me in the hospital and went through all of that, and she called me and said, I had a stillbirth on March 13th. And I was like, I don't know. My mind went, well, you couldn't have. That's Mark's birthday. And she's like, no,
Amy.
I did. So because I wanted God so bad to use it, and I even said, I said, please show me how to use this. I don't want it to be in vain. And so the next year, to the day, I got to go be with her and help her, and and God has used that. Is it still hard? Yes, it's still hard.
Yeah. I love how that speaks to the witness of God through the power of the Holy Spirit in our community, because that's what it comes down to. It's not that we can't question, is there a purpose in this? Show me. I don't get it. Why? It's not that we shouldn't ask those questions, but we ask those questions knowing that he receives it as worship. It's lament. It's a crying out.
Absolutely.
And when you can do that together, we are literally fulfilling the law of Christ. Wow.
And that he'll use it for our good and for kingdom purposes.
That's right, for his glory.
The encouragement that your friend received, knowing that when you sat beside her and said, I know how you feel, I understand, that it wasn't just a platitude.
Right.
Yes.
Right. Yeah. And
You
that's-
will get through this.
Yeah.
You will make it through this. She looks to
She
you and
knew,
says,
right.
365 days later, I know that must be true.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And that's we've talked about sharing our stories.
Yeah.
And so part of our stories are our trials that we go
Yeah.
through. And so it's without, I mean, she was there through my story, but I have shared that story,
Yeah.
and it has helped other people. But if I didn't share it, if I was afraid to share it, if I didn't think that there was purpose in it, I would not share it. And then people, I mean, God doesn't need me to do anything,
Right.
but he allows me to be a part of
That's
it.
exactly right.
And
It's beautiful.
so-
We're doing a lot with discipleship paths right now, and some of you ladies may be in our disciple labs right now, working individually to get a discipleship path for your church. But one of the things we talk about is that discipleship is a journey; it's not a destination.
Right.
Yes.
And so this side of heaven, we've not arrived. And just in my own quiet times, being reminded that this earth prepares me for what's to come. This is my prep ground. So there's no better prep than me knowing Jesus, as I'm going to walk in that garden again, with him as part of daily. So as you're talking, I go back to so many times, and I hear this. This has been me. It is me at times, but I hear this a lot from ladies, and we kind of laugh it off. But I don't have time for this. I don't have time for this, but there's some ladies that we really think, or you really think, you don't have time for this. And I've seen some people like buckle down, like they're gonna, these are poor examples, so give me some grace, like I'm gonna fight cancer. We want you to fight cancer, but there's this isn't gonna slow me, or we put it under a label of spiritual warfare. All those things could be true, but it doesn't mean that it's not an interruption, but a divine interruption to your life because of something God's wanting to do in you for that transformation process, because of what he wants to do, and sometimes that interruption is for somebody else. But I think that's the reality of this, that it's like life does happen, but God wastes nothing. But the beauty of, like you said, being in community to be able to process that out with, you guys will hear me say over and over, so that we can take our thoughts captive. This is what I'm thinking, God. This is what I'm feeling, God. This is what I'm whatever. So
and I can tell you that through Mark going to be in heaven, like I know what my spiritual life was before that. It was checking off the boxes. I was going to church. We were in a small group. We were doing the things on Sunday, but not living the life the rest of the week, and calling it good. And I can tell you at that point, and that fight with God, like I would not be sitting here now. I would still be checking off the boxes.
Wow. Which again, just thinking back to last month's episode of just defining blessing. Never would we on our own call something infant mortality blessing. Never.
That's right.
But in the story you just told, that your true relationship, your spirit opened, you went deeper and more connected and more intimate with your Maker. That is blessing. And that's why Jesus calls it, blessed are those who mourn. Blessed are those who experience
it sends you on a deeper search.
This is hard, complicated. I mean, I have goosebumps. Hard stuff.
And I'm reminded, Amy, of the Israelites, right, going out to get the manna. You need to go every day. Somebody can't get it for you. We have to show up, or because when that hard thing comes, God will give us what we need, but we have to be intentional to go out there and get it. And I think that's what I mean by my earlier comment, like, I don't have time for this. What I want to say to the Carmen in that moment is, God's brought this, so you're gonna have time, whether you think or not. But it goes back to, do you have what you need to get through it? You know what I mean? He'll be there. It is that daily bread. Give me, and what I need is going to be different than what you need, and it may be the exact same circumstance that we're going through at different times, or the same time. But
and praise God that He knows what we need in these situations, because like we talked about in our previous episode, those stories that He's writing are personal.
That's
to us, but they're for us and for kingdom purposes, and it's just that just is what makes Him awesome.
And so it goes to, even when you can't see God, like in that moment on Scott Air Force Base where I just gave it to Him. I'm like, I can't do this anymore. I can't be angry with you anymore, but I need you to use it. That right there, was I totally okay? No, I was not totally okay, and I'm still not. Like, I'm still like teary-eyed now.
Of course,
and that was in '99. So I wasn't all the way okay, but I chose that moment to take that, what I was feeling right then, and say, God, I don't feel you here, but I know you are. Like, because your word says you are with me. Amen. You're before me, you're behind me. There's nowhere I can go that I can get away from you.
Nothing can separate.
So I held on to that little nugget, and I said, here. And so for those of you that are in a trial, hold on to that little nugget.
Absolutely.
Just take that little nugget.
Yes. Good.
And that one step, not a huge leap, it was one tiny step that will bring you to
That's so good.
Awesome things, awesome relationship with Him, deeper with Him.
And if you don't have hope in this moment, borrow this hope.
Absolutely.
Borrow this hope.
Yes.
Staff, I've said that once in the office. I've said it 1,000 times.
Same.
Borrow the hope. Because so many times women get into the middle of trials and they will present as hopeless. Like, there's
it sometimes can feel hopeless.
Yes, it can feel hopeless. There's no way out. There's no fix. There's no promise. There's no, there's nothing in it.
No purpose.
No purpose, right. And we know that that's not true. We know that just focusing on Jesus and the Lord will provide those things that are needed in that, you know. But when you're in the midst of that trial and you know your walk of faith isn't strong, or you know maybe you're new Christian or whatever, and hearing, that's why testimonies are so important.
Yes.
Just
And
so
isn't it sometimes literally, guys, just like one breath at a time?
Yeah.
One
There's the
step
daily
at a
bread,
time.
right?
Yeah. Yes,
just
exactly.
Get me through this.
Just
Yes.
one thing at a time. Yeah.
And but be careful of who you follow.
Wow.
Because you know you will get the platitudes of you know, well, if you have more faith, you know, I was told I could not question God.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, well, that's not stopping me from questioning him. I still
Thank him for that.
Right.
Yes.
I'm like, I still have questions.
Yes.
Because when they did the autopsy, like there was no reason. Like his cord wasn't around his neck. There was they couldn't find a reason. And so I had lots of questions about why this happened. You know, because if something physical would have happened, then there's my reason.
Right.
But I didn't have a reason.
Yeah.
So so I had lots of questions. So to say I couldn't question God was so hard. And so then I felt shame.
Sure.
Because I
That's
was
right.
in the midst of this trial, I was questioning. And after being told not to. So be careful who you hang around with.
I love that advice and that warning. And our pastor says this often. It's not a matter of whether you're being discipled, it's who's discipling you.
That's right.
You know, I mean, is it an influencer on social media? Great, that could be really good, or that could be not so good. And so just having the discernment and being in the Word and being in the community.
I think Paul David Tripp says, in life moments like this, we're all theologians. And what you think matters, because nobody's talking to you as much as you're talking to yourself. You know, you're trying to,
that's right.
which goes to what you said, watch who else we have speaking into us, which is why there comes a time we just have to block out the world, you know, just to kind of put a hard stop. For, I mean, some life moments aren't as hard as that, you know what I mean? And there's times you just have to handle it or go about it different, you know, different ways.
And praise God, He gave you the discernment in that moment to go, no, I'm going to keep questioning. Because He gave you the ability in that moment to come to Him with your questions, which is what we need to do. We need to do it from the very core of who we are.
And again, you know, I understand God about maybe that much, but I got that much from being a parent. And you know, my kids, if they came to me with questions, and they did, about like why I made decisions the way I made them, I was big enough to handle them. God is way bigger than me, and He is okay, and He knew right where I was. And so God knows when we're in the middle of these trials, like right where we are. And so it doesn't mean that you're always going to feel calm, or that you're going to understand, or that you're not struggling. Like all of those things can go on at the same time.
That's right.
And you can still be trusting God with it.
That's right.
And still be asking Him questions. And so so it kind of looks like this, like you choose the truth of His Word about who He is over those loudest thoughts.
Beautiful.
And sometimes you have to write them out. I have lots of journals.
I would say every time you have to write them out.
Because if you don't, and this is my counseling brain working, and this is what I tell my clients a lot. I said, because if you don't, it's like ping pong balls.
It is.
In your head, all these thoughts, and then they kind of like, you know, just grow. And you have to write them to catch them and put them down.
Just clinically, too, what we know from the research is that literally writing them, not this, and not this.
I was literally thinking that there's...
Because writing is thinking, and thinking is processing. And and you're right, like it gets that out of your brain and the pinball type of you know thing onto a piece of paper external to you, that you can look at it and go, okay, I can see that now. I can see it clearly.
And
Help
then
me
in
know
2
what to do
weeks
next.
you can come back to it and say, oh, I remember that now. I remember that clearly.
Yes.
I'm back here.
Yes, exactly. That's right.
And sometimes, you know, I'll have my clients take a piece of paper and write like their trials on one side, and then on the other side write what came out of it. And so just being able to do that, even in like incremental things, like this happened, and then, you know, maybe 2 weeks later come back and say, but I saw God here, and here, and here.
Cognitive behavioral therapy, right?
Right there. Absolutely.
Big
Gotta
term.
love it.
I didn't get it. And I'm just sitting here.
We all relate.
So it's hard to turn the therapy. can't turn
You
therapy
can't.
right
I don't
now.
think we're supposed to. I think that's why
Always
we're
there,
here.
yeah.
I've had several occasions where my daughter's very huffy. I don't need a counselor right now, Mom.
I've had that same conversation.
I'm like, I don't
separate
know. Yeah,
it.
it's like I don't know how to turn it off. I'm really sorry.
but I see this problem and I have help. I have tools. And even like sometimes when you're in those trials and you want to pull away from God, making that choice, it's all a choice to whether you just open your word, even if you're like, he's not going to talk to me today, just opening it, because I promise you he will.
Mm-hmm.
I can't promise a lot of things, but I
Yeah.
can promise that God knows where you
Something
are.
will resonate.
And so that's maybe just like small daily steps. Maybe that's just, opening the Bible app and just reading the verse of the day. You don't know how many times I've opened it and I'm like, oh, that's what I needed today. Right there.
Yeah.
Not a coincidence.
Yep.
Listening to worship music.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you guys, but like I've been on the floor, like scrubbing the floor, and worship song came on, and then I'm crying.
Yeah. And another thing I'm thinking too is that like reaching out to a friend that is struggling and asking how you can be praying for her or praying together, because that then it's like anything else. Like nobody's a project. It's if I'm serving you, it's somehow helping me.
Yes.
Right.
Like
We're
that
all-
we're
we're
made
all
that way.
Projects.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah, we are.
We are all
no one is and everyone is.
Right,
Right.
right,
And so
right.
yeah, and so just allowing that, the natural way that the Lord has created us to, all these endorphins that are released when we serve other people. So praying with someone else is going to encourage your spirit as well in the middle of hard things.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And so don't isolate. I can tell you, like, we had gotten into a small group, and so we were all the same age. We're all going through like the same life season, small babies or getting pregnant, and they were all there. They all came to the hospital.
Wow.
And that was what we needed. And just accept it when it comes, and then be that person. Because it means so much to people that are hurting. And if God puts somebody on your heart, text them, call them.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's where my mind was going.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's so good.
Yeah.
I went back to work, and then I couldn't handle the stress of working in an attorney's office and mourning. So I came back home, and my first day where I was sitting in those thoughts, I wasn't writing them down. I just was sitting with them going.
Yeah.
Darlene Leatherwood, who was the children's...
It's a great name.
Yes, she's awesome. She was kind of my mentor. She called me that day. She said God put me on her heart, and she called me that day. She didn't know I was there by myself. She just called me. So call the person.
Yes.
Answer the phone if somebody calls you and you're in the trial.
Yes.
Because that is God. He made us for a community. He made us to help each other. And during these trials, we need that so much.
Yes.
And it's not a burden. I've talked to so many people that say, I don't want to call somebody because
I don't want to be a burden.
I don't want to interrupt.
And
I don't
so-
want to. Yeah.
Yeah.
I said, well, if you knew that your friend was going through a trial and didn't call you because they thought they were going to be a burden, how would you feel?
Yeah.
I would hate that.
Yeah.
Right? Your friend hates that too.
Yeah.
But I think that's realistic. As far as, I don't know, maybe it's not realistic, but it is in my mind. We are all busy. We all have bandwidth, which I think comes back to the importance of your small groups. Like you were talking about yours. Nobody had to catch up, because they're part of everyday life.
Yeah.
We're not waiting for an invite. Why wouldn't we be there? Why wouldn't they want us there? You don't feel like and there are those relationships you feel like, well, I'm afraid I might be interruptive. And I think that's why God gives us those small circles to do life in the larger circles. I'll routinely,
That's a good point.
amongst the, around the state, women we love going through hard things. But there's many times, whether it's been a loss or something, that I'll know another woman that's part of our community has the front row seat. And, I may text the person that's going through the hurt, but then I'll go back to that person and say, hey, Leslie, God, I'll use those words. You're the front row. So we're going to love through you anything that your eyes see she needs or their family needs. And you got an army of women waiting. Because I think we all want to do that. I do realize that, practically, that's just one of the ways I operationalize that. Say it, I'm like, yeah, you're the front row seat. And I go back to, we all don't have the bandwidth to be that for everybody. So does that mean we're shallow or superficial? That's where I have to take my thoughts captive sometimes. Like, what kind of person are you, Carmen? You really like this person, but this happened and you didn't have time to, or this was And I'm learning that not everybody has to step in tangibly.
Yeah.
We can be there, intercessory prayer, whatever, or gathering those resources through the person. But I can't say enough for the small groups.
Yeah.
And I may be out of line, so you might feel differently. But there's a time that those relationships can cross barriers more than even your biological ones.
Oh, absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
That it's like,
Absolutely.
you want them there, but there's and you don't even know it
Yeah.
until those people cross the threshold.
Yeah.
There's just something that's like,
Yeah.
somebody just showed it, and the other person
Our small
wants
group
to,
is
Yeah.
like
but
that, too.
and I believe that's the way God has put it.
Yeah. I want to say this too, and just to piggyback on what you said, sometimes, and I think we lean on discernment and we lean on how the Lord is leading us, but sometimes we need to push ourselves into a situation. And here's what I mean by that, okay? I'm a grief counselor, so I see a lot of clients who are going through death, mourning, and sudden death, and suicide death, and things like that. And if you are led, you hear the news, maybe it's a neighbor, maybe it's a distant friend, maybe it's someone you vaguely know at church, and you hear the news, show up, even if you're not invited, and even if they're not a good friend, and even if they're not in a small group. Because what happens a lot of times is everyone goes, oh, I can't show up because I'm not close enough,
no one
and
shows.
no one shows.
That's good.
And especially those first few nights, if you say, hey, I'm bringing a blanket and a pillow, and I'm camping out on your couch, and I'll be here with coffee in the morning if you want it. I'm going to leave you alone. People can come and go, but I'm just going to be over here. Now, I mean, I know when my little one, my youngest, was turning 1, so this is 25 years ago, my best friend was diagnosed with breast cancer. She lived in Kansas City. I was in St. Louis, and she got the diagnosis. Her little one was 3 months old. She was breastfeeding. Her oncologist said, stop breastfeeding, no more. Like, she never even got to breastfeed him for the last time. They didn't advise her very well. And she was devastated. She was 30 years old. And she called me with the news, and I said, I'm on my way. And she said, I don't want you here. I don't want you to come. I'm not coming. And what did I do?
You went.
I went. I got in my car. I left my little one, and with my husband, I went, and her mom was there, and I said, I'm here. I can stay at a hotel, or I can come in. She goes, please come in. And I went, and I got in bed with her. And I stayed in bed with her for 3 days, and I wept with her, and we listened to music together, and we didn't do a lot of talking. But on day 3, kind of like the resurrection, we got up, and we went and got ice cream together. So it's like, you don't know. It feels uncomfortable. It feels like I'm not welcome. But test it. Go there and test it. If you can, do it. If you're being led to do
That's
it.
good.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah, and that it is so important. I know that we have a small group that's couples, and so we have like a text with the small group, and then we have a side girls small group text, which the guys don't have that. They just found out that we had it because something was shared.
They're comparing.
Information about the big small group was shared just in the women's, and so it wasn't communicated to the men, and so that's how they found out. And they're like, "What else have you been sharing? Like, what are we missing?" Like,
What are we
need to know.
missing?
But to have that community of women who you can be however you want to be, and like I just confessed something that I needed prayer for that nobody else really knows except for my husband.
Yeah.
And so, but
That's
it
right.
was a safe place.
That's right.
Jesus had his 3.
That's
like
right.
he had the 3
That's
that
right.
were the closest to him.
Yeah.
That's right.
You know?
Yeah. And you know, friendship is circles. Like Jesus is in the middle, and then you have your main ones, and then everybody else is like these other circles. And so that's, you know, have that circle. If you don't have that circle, find that circle.
Yeah.
It is
You
so
only need
needed.
1 or 2.
Yeah.
1 or 2.
Yeah.
Yep.
And it's so needed.
Yeah.
I think for women, especially, you know, like when we're talking about trials and stuff,
Yeah.
because I think we're so like, we got this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We got this.
Yeah.
We don't got it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. You're right.
You know,
we don't
yeah,
got it,
and
right?
I go back to what you just said there, because
You're
I
right.
think that's what we have to realize. God is connecting us as a community across the state. So there is we're that circle, And then there's those intimate circles in the circle, and you see them, and that's what I'm saying. You guys pour into those circles. You may not have that front row seat when that happens, but somebody else is going, which means whatever they need, they have access to it, because we're going to be hard pressed to think somebody does. I always talk about the fish and the loaves.
Yeah.
Somebody's basket has it.
Yes.
Somebody's already lived the story. Somebody's basket has it, and they've got a heart willing to share.
Yes.
We just need to keep the keep that connectivity there. Amy, something that you said too, which is not on today's topic, but to me it's what makes the reality of the small groups and leads to a lot of the unhealthiness in our churches and in our lives, is those small groups. Just that place, like I said, they know everything about us. You confess something, there's something you needed prayer with. My mind went to confess. Again, God says confess your sins to one another, not just Him.
That's right.
And I keep beating that drum because there's such a void of that in our churches, and we need that in our lives, because that's the kind of stuff that goes to these relationships. Because it's almost like the not that we did a blood promise or whatever you call it, but there's something, that person has something on me. That's not the right word. You know what I'm saying? That person, if they wanted to, they've got some stuff on me. And we live in such an exploitation world that I think that scares us. I can tell you, I pull up my table to circles and thinking, yeah, I'm here, and you may think I'm participating, but then I may have my little private group going on, like I said, my little Facebook group or my text string outside that circle, just because that trust is so important. But we need those circles, and I think over and over we find that we can't trust those circles. But those are the circles that I want to show up, that's going to crawl in bed with me, because they have before. You know what I mean? They have before.
And that is what I was thinking too, as we were talking about those small circles, is that they have to be trustworthy circles.
Absolutely.
Those friends have to be the ones that are going to go the mile and then go the extra mile.
Break out a priority on what it looks like to be trustworthy.
Yes,
Brene Brown has a whole acronym for it.
That's good. But there's that part of, how do you talk this out? And I'm not just trying to justify it for myself, but it's like, oh my gosh, had we not had that and there's so much I won't, but I'm like, it just helped my understanding. But to have that place, that's what I'm saying. I can see, and I want to get back to our thing, this is such a gift, girls, what you're bringing, because I'm realizing what counseling I'm seeing the proactive side of what counseling can do, equipping people. Exactly. That doesn't necessarily mean somebody's so broke going, proactive, what we can do, it's so valuable. But I can also see why people are paying money
for the confidentiality.
That's it.
That's it. Yeah.
It's attorney-client privilege.
That's
it's doctor-patient privilege.
That's it.
Privilege. It's therapist-client privilege. It's why in the Catholic Church you can go behind a screen and you can go in the dark. I'm not saying I'm a proponent of that, but I'm saying sometimes you just need to say it out loud. And even if it just starts with that,
just
knowing that it's not going to go further than that.
And it hurts me to think. I'm thankful. But it hurts me to think. We just need to process life with somebody. That's coaching
I say it
too,
all the time. I always say, I'm like, one day our work will not be needed, and until then, it's really sad. Because if we could show up and be better friends to one another, and be vaults, and really keep confidences, and keep our opinions sometimes to ourselves, and just be a presence and listen, and challenge appropriately with love and with kindness. We wouldn't need therapists.
And there are some things that we kind of need to do, just, staying in the counseling set. Like, even before you write your stuff down or call that person, you need to regulate your body, because God did not design us as our physical body in this compartment and our mental, emotional body in this compartment. Like, I know when I'm anxious, my hands will shake, or I'll get flushed. Like, my physical body is reacting to my mental, emotional state. And so do some deep breathing. And like, I call it box breathing, where you breathe in 4, hold it for 4, breathe out for 4, hold it for 4. You just draw a box. And I love, like...
Are you doing it right now? Carmen's over here like this.
I never could dance either. Sorry.
And there's some other, like, grounding techniques. I love, find colors of the rainbow. Because what that does is when your mind is going so crazy with all of these thoughts about the trials and, how your disappointment or, just everything that's going on in your head when you're in the midst of a trial, or any other time, your brain literally needs to stop thinking of that. And so if you are, if you do the 5 senses where you're looking for things that you can see and hear and smell and touch, your brain goes to what is that, and you're not thinking about that anymore.
You're in the here and now.
Right.
So it just stops your brain for a moment to be able to then maybe think rationally, like, I need to write these thoughts down, because you can't do it in the midst of it. It's you can't, because they're just too much.
Yeah.
And so, and we did this with, when I worked at a school, we were teaching these mindfulness grounding techniques, and we had the kids call out like all the cereals they knew.
Oh, that's great. Yeah.
And so because they were all sitting on the gym floor, and we're like, okay, call out a cereal.
Yeah.
And so it's easy things like that. I had a friend of mine, I told her this technique, and her mom had a panic attack in the grocery store. So she's like, Mom, find all of the pink shampoos.
Yeah.
Pink cartons of the shampoos.
Yep.
It's just stuff like that that your mind is bringing you back to where you are right now, and that just kind of stops it.
And the reality is, what you're showing your brain is that you're actually safe right now. And that's the key, because then the brain signals the entire CNS, I'm actually okay right now. And you do that through, I have my clients just take a clementine orange with them wherever they go, if they're panic prone or highly anxious, because that incorporates all the senses. Look at it, feel it, peel it, hear the sound it makes when you peel that orange, smell it, take a little section and put it in your mouth, hold it there. What's that feel like? Bite it. I mean, an orange is a wonderful tool. It's cheap, it's effective, and it's transportable.
There you go. That's
I'm making a note. I'm going to give everybody oranges for swag at the next event.
That's right.
Clementines. Clementines. As swags.
Yep.
Oh, I love it.
awesome.
Yep.
And the last thing is to just know we live in a world where feelings are facts. We went from not talking about feelings ever to the pendulum is over here, where if you feel
so
like
good.
this,
That's
it's
so good.
true.
Yeah.
Like, there is a happy medium. Like,
Freedom in the middle.
feelings are not bad. Jesus had all the feelings.
Yes.
If he can have them, we can have them.
That's
but he
right.
also handled them in the correct way. And so that's the thing. And so trust is not a feeling. Just because you don't feel that God is there doesn't mean that he's not there.
Right.
He is there. The Bible tells us that he is always there. What it is it's a choice, a decision to say, Lord, I don't feel you here.
Yeah.
But your word says you are, and I choose to believe
Yes.
that is true, and you are here and you're hearing me. Even though it feels like my prayers are just hitting the ceiling.
Yes.
Yeah.
That is not true, because your word says that you hear me when I call to you.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
So good, Amy.
Yeah.
Woo! Amen. That's so good.
So it's
Yeah.
keeping that in your head when you don't feel things. These feelings aren't always facts.
Yeah.
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 Hardly. I mean,
Hardly,
they're hardly
right.
facts.
They're hardly facts.
Which is another place where writing stuff down can come to, because you kind of have a little bit of timeline to see where you were, and you can see, oh, I don't feel that way now, so that you can, your
like
own
an
story
altar
to
that you've
yourself.
built, yeah.
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
then a lot of times you get more facts about things.
Yes.
And you're like, oh, well, I felt angry, but I didn't need
Yeah.
to, because that wasn't what was really
Yeah.
happening.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and so I'll have Leslie put these in the show notes, but God's character, like, we need to be able to see these somewhere. Put them on sticky notes.
Yeah.
My computer screen is ringed in sticky notes of verses, and it's amazing. Like, they're verses that I needed, but it's amazing that, like, when I'm doing counseling, that oh, that one right there,
Yeah.
this is what they need. This is the verse they
Yeah,
need.
we're gonna talk about
And so
that.
just some of them are like, the Lord is near to the brokenhearted and saves the crushed in spirit. That's truth. That's true. Whether you feel it or not, it's truth. And so that's Psalm
And the neat thing
34:18.
about it is that if we don't feel it, we can bring that feeling to him in prayer and say, Lord, I don't feel this. Help me feel it. Like, help me understand and realize this truth, that you're always with me, and watch him show up. Like, just watch him show up.
And that is one thing that we can always know, that he always will show up.
Yeah.
It may not be in the way that we think.
Right.
Again, I have all these ideas of how he should show up. Very rarely is that how it works.
Yes.
But it's always perfect the way he does. I'm like, oh, okay. You know, Isaiah 41:10, fear not, for I am with you. Be not dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you. I will help you. I will uphold you with my righteous right hand.
Yeah.
Like, all truth. All truth. And Psalm 86:15, but you, O Lord, are a God merciful and gracious, slow to anger and abounding in steadfast love and faithfulness.
That just feels like a hug, doesn't it?
Yes. Yes.
Just feels like a hug.
And so I think, you know, we have to have these truths because the world tells us so many lies, and they're everywhere. You know, podcasts, social media, everything.
In our own heads.
Yeah.
Yes, in our own heads.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so without the truth of God's word, we stay in that spot. And so it's pulling ourselves, making a choice to say, okay, Lord, you say you are merciful and gracious.
Yeah.
Okay, you have to show me what that is. Because I don't feel it right now. This does not feel like mercy or grace.
Yeah.
This is hard. And then, you know, he is abounding in steadfast love. Or I think in other versions it's like loving kindness, which I love that word. And so it's like, okay. And then start thinking, what does that look like? And then it's kind of like when you tell somebody to look for red cars.
Yeah.
You're just going to see red cars. So if you choose to say, okay, Lord, show me your loving kindness, help me to see it,
Yes.
you're going to start
That's good.
seeing it in
That's
different
good.
You're gonna
places.
start seeing
That's
it.
good.
So make it a practice in your daily life. Name what you feel versus what is true. I feel alone versus God is near. And go back to those verses. Like on these things, like find a verse that fits with it.
Yeah.
Focus on one attribute of God. You don't have to do everything all at once.
Yeah.
You don't have to try to find out because you won't be able to.
Yeah.
Right.
But what do you need at that moment? Because he is everything that we need at any given
When we
moment.
need it.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
Yeah.
so Lord, I need your faithfulness today.
Yeah.
I need to know that
Yeah.
in this that you are still right beside me, and I promise that you will probably get a verse, a friend call, something. You will get
Yes,
something.
or a
that is-
literal bumper
Yeah.
sticker that happens to
Yes.
me. Like a
Yeah.
what?
Right.
Why does that say shield?
Yeah. You know, there is a trucking company or something, because more than once, Carmen shows up on the bed of a semi-tractor trailer going down the road at just the right time. It's like, oh, gotcha, you do see me. Okay.
then-
I hear you, Lord.
when you do that, gets you into a conversation
Yes.
with God.
Yes.
Because I think sometimes we go through and we're
Yeah.
like, oh, well, that was just a coincidence. Not in God's world.
Yeah.
Not in God's
No.
world. And so
No.
if you start thinking that way
No.
and seeing that stuff,
Yeah.
it's like,
It shows the
Okay.
personal of the relationship,
I'm
right?
a firm believer there are no coincidences.
Yeah.
There are no
Yeah.
coincidences.
Yeah, that's a really good word. I'd say all the time, quit explaining away somebody else's miracle.
Right.
Right.
Oh,
Right.
You know,
right.
I'm like, stop explaining away. You may know logistics behind it, but not to them.
That's
God
right.
just parted the Red Sea
That's
to them.
right.
Quit explaining away
That
their
is
miracle.
right.
You know,
Absolutely.
so
Joy stealer.
right. Take my miracle. Get your own orange. You might need to peel and taste. Goodness.
stay engaged with God spiritually. Like, I can tell you that a lot of my prayers are not, the polished prayers you hear people pray at the front. They're just,
They don't have to
Lord,
be,
I
right?
have no
That's the
idea.
best.
Yeah.
Help.
And, and it says that the Holy Spirit, prays the prayers that we can't even voice.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so, when you're in a trial, sometimes it's so deep. And
Yeah.
now outside of a trial, it's like, wow, the Holy Spirit was there.
There you go.
Just,
There's
giving
times
me
just
what
show
I
up and be
needed.
quiet, right? And just
Yes.
say, would
That's
you
it.
just intercede for me?
That's
Be
right.
still
So,
and
yes.
know that I am God.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or just every day, okay, Lord,
Yeah.
here I am.
Yeah.
Here I am.
Yeah.
I don't feel like working for you today. I mean, you can
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
God, you can be
So
so
honest.
honest,
So honest.
Yes.
so
Yeah.
honest
Yeah.
because he knows. Yeah, he knows
Yeah.
anyway.
Yeah.
So
I don't wanna, and I'm really into this next Netflix series.
I went to play this game. Okay?
Right.
I'm on the couch with my fuzzy blanket. That's all I want to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do the next right thing, even if it's small, even if
Yeah.
it's getting up to
Yeah.
go take a shower.
Yeah.
Showers are amazing.
Yeah.
When you're in that
Yeah.
spot. Showers are
Yeah.
amazing, and just get up and do it. Don't think about tomorrow.
Yeah,
Just
and
think
so
about,
many
like,
in
right
the world
then.
don't even have
Yeah.
access to showers. You don't think about that's
Yeah.
crazy too.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
the gratitude of that.
And then again, going back to like look for the evidence of God's presence.
That's good. That's good.
Just look for
Yeah.
it everywhere, and maybe it's a flower, maybe
Yeah.
it's a song, maybe it's a friend that calls.
yeah.
But then attribute it all to God, because again, that is worship,
Yeah.
and that is your relationship with God when you
Yeah.
start seeing the things that He does.
Yeah.
That's so good. That's so good.
Yeah.
And so
Johnny would say, this is a grief share illustration she uses, that when we're living in the slide, the frame that only we can see, the hard stuff happened, right? God has both the close-up lens and the
And the
broad
wide
person,
lens.
yeah, the wide lens. And so those are times I'll have to ask myself or tell myself, that's how I'll talk to him. It's time, God, I'm living in this frame and I don't understand it, and it's hard, and I really don't know how I got here, but this is the frame that I'm seeing. And God, I know you're present with me in this frame, and you don't like seeing me hurt here. God, I'm trusting that whatever you're seeing in the broader lens, or what'd you call it, where I'm seeing
Wide
the
frame.
wide frame lens is going to be worth this, but right now it is hard living in this particular frame, But so it was just a good perspective to me to remind us we're not God,
yes,
right? We're not God. Back to that daily bread, which is important when you're showing up with in the Word, girls. That we're learning who He is,
Yes.
and He's the one that's with us, and that's what's important. Because when you can share that hard time and you feel like somebody's actually carrying that burden with you, and He
Yes.
says that, right? Cast your cares upon me. That's the game. That's the game changer.
Yeah.
This was really good, Amy.
Yeah.
Really good.
So instead of saying like, why is this happening to me? Like it's going back to like knowing
Yeah.
that it's going to happen to you.
Yeah.
Ask God, who are you
Yeah.
being for me right now?
Right.
And what does it look like to walk with you in
Yeah.
this? And like show me
Yeah.
how you're using this.
Yeah. Yeah.
And go to those questions, because otherwise you stay in that
Yeah.
self-pity,
All about
Right.
me.
all about
Right.
me,
Yeah.
why me,
That's
and you
good.
stay there.
Where my mind went is, in the Scouts and a lot of organizations, you get your belt and they work hard to get patches. How many patches between the time God had me born to the time I go do I have to earn the patch? Meaning you got to live through the circumstance, right? It's like, and some of those, if we were honest, I don't want that patch, but we don't get to pick and choose. We just trust God with the patch. But there's something about the image of somebody sewing it on, which means what? You've come out the other side.
Yeah,
you've
you've
completed
done it.
it.
You've
You've
been through
completed
it.
it. But it's important to see there was a purpose to that patch. You learned, you had to go get some new tools, new skills. That's why they got you to work through that particular thing, right? So that you came out with new tools, and that's what I just keep thinking. God wastes nothing for you or for somebody that's doing life with you. So
And
that's good.
Also, just with the questions too, like the Psalms are such a great place to go and look for the questions that are modeled for us that we can ask. Like,
really
how
good.
long, O Lord?
Yeah.
My God, why have you forsaken me?
Yeah.
These are not just things that we
Yeah.
go, oh, I can't ask that, like you were told.
Right.
This is like, not only can we, but it's part of the process of healing,
Yes.
of worship, of lament, of
Yeah.
surrender, and
Yeah.
moving through.
Yeah.
I mean, I will encourage that all day, every day.
Yeah.
Ask the questions.
Yes. That's
Because
good.
without asking the questions, we don't see how God shows up for us. And when He shows up for us, we learn His character. And when we learn His character, we seek to be more like Him.
Yes.
Like, you see the
There's a
progression.
Yes.
Right? You see the progression
It's
there.
Romans 5.
And it's really, really, really important. Like, it's really important because when we stay stuck in that self-focus and that self-pity, we don't learn who God is. We don't learn how He can show up for us. And we don't learn anything about our kingdom purpose.
Yeah.
You know?
And then know that you don't have to have it all together to start trusting Him. It's just
Oh,
that
absolutely.
one little step.
Yeah.
It's just staying connected to Him
Yeah.
when everything else is falling apart around you.
Yeah.
It's just going to His Word and saying,
Yeah.
this is the truth.
Yeah.
I'm going to hold this.
Yes.
Yes.
I love that.
And not
Let's-
everything else.
Let's
Yes.
say that again. You
Yeah.
don't have to have it all together to start
Yes.
trusting God.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's great.
Apart from, being in heaven, we will never have it.
Right,
Like, we're
right.
never going to get to that point
Yeah.
where we have it all together.
Right.
Yeah.
That's
right.
right.
That's right.
So Leslie will share some things in the show notes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. And remember, share it out. If you heard something, kind of, we're giving you a toolbox, right? So kind of bury it away. And you may have heard something that you're like, that was intriguing. I want to learn a little bit more. That's great. Dig down a little bit deeper. But we're hoping that you'll join us and keep joining us for this. I just heard a truck going by that wanted to join us too. But we're hoping you'll keep joining us. And ladies, this is where I need to hear from you. Because if there's specific pain points or things that you're like, man, I wish somebody could share some tools on this particular area, that's what we're trying to do here. And again, proactively bring that content, because you're the hands and feet that God's put in your local church, in
Yeah.
your marketplace, your family. So we want to be able to give you some tools to help set your own couch, right? But I say set your own table for whoever God brings. You're there to be able to help them a little
That's
bit.
right.
So good deal, Amy. Thank you,
Thank you, Amy.
girls.
So
So
good.
all
Yeah.
right. So we say thank you for joining us this month on the Priority Podcast, and be sure to come back next month.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I got to do this because Carla will say 1, 2, 3.
Unshackled!
Thanks, girls.